Hey everybody, I'm Ryan. Thanks for joining us for this week's episode of the Breaking Bad Show. This week, Chad and I are excited to bring to you Eric McCants. For those of you that don't know who Eric is an investigative sergeant with the Burt County Sheriff's Office in Georgia, where he's also a member of the SWAT team. One thing I noticed about our interview that we talked about is the mentors that Eric has had appear to him in his life that he's been fortunate to have. And one thing I noticed is that often we may have mentors, but Eric was also blessed with the ability to listen to those mentors and apply their teachings into his life. Now what he does is he's taken everything that he's learned from his mentors and he's applied that to what he does in his own agency, as well as through the power of social media. Eric has become a mentor and an inspiration on the LinkedIn platform. For those of you that don't follow him already, Eric can be found in the gym, sharing videos of himself repping out 6 plates, easier than most cops can lift a Bang energy drink. Eric's also always doing what he can to make people laugh, whether it's through whistling at his partners or the funnies that he shares. He's also always there to be a friend and a mentor to other officers and other people through his buddy check-ins that he does. If there's one big takeaway that I got from this interview, it's that police officers have a tough job. We have a stressful job. But we didn't get into this job because we wanted to be miserable and have a miserable career. We gotta remember that while we're out there doing our job, we gotta smile, we gotta laugh, and most importantly, remember that we gotta have fun. This is the Breaking Bad Show.
How's it going, everybody? I'm Ryan.
I'm Chad.
Welcome back to another episode of the Breaking Bad Show. This week, as we mentioned, we're excited to welcome Eric McCants to the show. Welcome, Eric.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Eric, what's up,
Awesome,
brother?
man.
Shit, nothing much, man. Try to stay out this heat. That's about it.
What's the temperature down there?
Right now, it's at 100 degrees, but with the humidity, they said the heat index is about 110.
110 degrees. That is crazy. Yeah, we were talking offline and I went to the boot camp down in Georgia, and man, I got there in August, and I remember they called it shark attack when you get off the bus and the drill sergeants are yelling at you and screaming at you. And I remember I'm 17 years old, I'm rolling around and I'm sweaty, getting smoke, push-ups, sit-ups, flutter kicks, mountain climbers, and all these pine needles are sticking to me in this grass. I'm like, what are all these things? I never had them in Philly. And I mean, we got pine trees, but man, they're all over the place. And we had fire ants. And I'm thinking, who lives in Georgia? It's crazy.
And for those of you that aren't on LinkedIn and don't follow Eric on LinkedIn, he's going to be careful down there because he posts the videos of him throwing up weights like you wouldn't believe. I never see people rep out so many plates that I see Eric rep out. So you got to be careful, man. Your hands get sweaty. You don't want that slipping out of your hands.
Oh, yeah, man. You're following you. I actually have a video when I was lifting weights and I was doing 315 and it slipped out my hands and I tried to push it over, skip the top of my head. That's a couple years ago, brother. It happens.
Oh, that's bad.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so what's the most you ever lift? What's the most your record for benching?
Back in the day, I did about 410. And like I say, right now, I'm in the progress of getting back to 405. Right now, I probably get 385. So I'm giving it myself to about the end of the year to be able to get 405 again and try to go a little bit further because I'm in the process of start competing with weightlifting. So I'm gonna try that out just to see. But like I said, as a bigger guy, so the heavier you go, the more they can lift. So it's just one of those catch-22s.
That's awesome to see. So Eric, take us through your upbringing, man. We want to know, like, where are you from? Tell us about what it was like being a kid in Georgia and what your upbringing was like.
Well, like I said, I'm from Augusta, Georgia, which is maybe 2 hours away from Atlanta, right there on the border of South Carolina. Grew up with my family. Like I said, basically we all lived in a family home together. My mother basically raised me, my brother and sister. I'm the youngest of 3. We started off at a Christian school, which was our church. And we started there from K4 to 2nd grade, which I stopped. And then we went to the public school system. For me, it was a different change. Like I said, we're used to being in a church structure and, things going a certain way, and them, taking the paddle out, beating you if they need to, if you got out of line, all that stuff. Then going to a public school system where people were more exposed to everything. Like I said, all we listened to was church music when I first grew up. So we didn't know anything outside of that. So when I went to public school, man, it was a little rough for me. Like my first 4 or 5 years, man, I'm not gonna say I was out of control, but I was bad. Like I said, I was just trying to adjust to it. And my mother and my grandfather and everybody else had to stay on top of me. Then I went to middle school. And like I said, I enjoyed school. Like I went to school to enjoy myself. So I like having fun, like telling jokes, end up getting in trouble, end up going to alternative school, which is basically like it's a step right before you get expelled. So I was right there at that point. And then my 8th grade year, I came back to a different school, and then it kind of mellowed out for me. As a young kid, my mother had us in different things. Like I say, she didn't really have us into sports. I started off with the violin. My brother played the violin and viola. My sister played the cello. And I started off with the violin. Me being me, I was like, man, first of all, I'm too big to be up here playing the violin. Then I switched over to the trumpet when I went to middle school, played that for a little bit, made it all the way up to high school with it, playing trumpet. I was in the marching band. And then I decided I need to go play sports. So then I started doing football, which I enjoyed. But wrestling was my best sport. I enjoy wrestling. Still enjoy wrestling now. And it kind of took me by surprise when I learned what wrestling was and that WWE was fake. I was a big Stone Cold fan and Rock fan.
Yes.
And to see what real wrestling was, and then seeing once I started looking at it that it was fake, I can't watch wrestling now because of that. So it's scorned me from that. But basically, like I said, my mother just had us in different things, like I said, with music. When we got in trouble, she put us in the corner. We had to cross stitch like birds and animals and stuff. I mean, it kept me structured. And then, like I say, eventually, I had an uncle who did kung fu and karate, and my cousin, they moved down from Alabama. And then basically, I came under them, and I started training about my 10th grade year, and I was taking karate ever since. And went through high school, went to college. Well, I started off in college. I put it like that. Day I got kicked out. I was 17 when I went off to school. It's just too much for me. Basically, they gave me free money with my refund check, and I ended up buying food and partying, not going to class. Ended up getting kicked out of school. Worked at a grocery store called Kroger for a little bit. And then there was a police officer just sitting over there. He was talking to another guy. Me being nosy, I'm just listening. He told me you should join the police academy. And basically around that same time he's telling that, my mother is actually texting me like, you need to do something. You need to get back in school, do something. I'm like, what the heck? I signed up for the police academy. Signed up for it. Been in law enforcement ever since.
Wow.
I love that. Man, you were talking about wrestling and I was going back. I was a huge WWE fan, The Rock, Stone Cold. Actually, it's funny you brought that up. We have a wrestling question later. So what was your father in your life at all growing up, or somebody you didn't know?
No, I met him maybe 10 times. I mean, he lives in the same area as us, but like I say, I dealt with my grandmother and my aunt and that side of the family, but we didn't really deal with him like that.
Were there challenges not having a dad growing up, or is it something you didn't know any other way? So like all the other ones, you just kind of figured out how to get by.
It was really a challenge for us. Like I said, my grandfather was there. Like I said, he passed away about in 2015, but basically everybody under my grandfather was just basically under him. So my grandfather lived in the same area as us. And then my mother and my aunts all lived together in the same house. So we had a big household. So basically they all had a hand in helping raise me. It was my Aunt Sharon, Aunt Ruth. And they all, like I say, they all whooped us, all taught us things that we needed for life. And then, like I say, just playing football and different sports and band. And then, like I say, with my Uncle Archbishop and then my cousin Abaya came down here with the karate and different stuff. Like I said, I kind of went under their wing and, start learning, develop how to be a man and stuff like that. So, I mean, his presence wasn't missing.
Wow. So as law enforcement, you said you saw that the police officer. Was there any point in your upbringing growing up you kind of thought about it, or was something that really wasn't on the radar until you ran into that police officer?
It was kind of when I ran into him. Like I said, I started off going to school for business management. Like I say, I get really deep into karate. My cousin had a karate school, and so he was teaching me the business aspect of it. So I went to Augusta State University to get my degree in business management so I can help run the business. But even then, I've always been a bigger fella. And then with my cousin, we always did like security gigs for people because they knew we did martial arts and stuff like that. So I was kind of in that aspect, but it wasn't something I planned on doing. Like I said, at first I wanted to be a math teacher. Then I wanted to be a business management to, help with the business. So law enforcement wasn't even on my mind. And then, like I say, I sort of fell into it. And then, like I said, I fell in love with it in the academy. And like I said, I've been doing it ever since.
So we're going to get into the law enforcement stuff because that's obviously why you're here. But I'm really interested in your social media. I think I'm a big personal branding person. Really get out there and show your personality and your attributes and the value add to other people. Man, you have that in spades. You do such a great job. Is that something that you were trying to do, or it kind of just fell into, putting out some content and people following it?
Well, it kind of fell into it, like putting out some content. But like I said, I've been around a lot of people who had big influences on my life. Like I said, my sheriff, Alfonso Williams, he's always played a big role in my life. Actually, he was my instructor in the academy, and then people like Dennis Benino. And then I started listening to like motivational tapes, like from Eric Thomas and Les Brown, and having people encourage you. And then, like I said, my uncle, Archbishop, he used to live like different gems to you and stuff like that. So just picking up to that and seeing how it inspired me, I wanted to help inspire others. Because I got this book and then this movie called The Secret from one of my partners out with Earth, named Cedric Woods. He put me on it, and like I say, it totally changed my mindset about different things. Like I say, I wasn't a Debbie Downer, but still, if something was going on in my life, I just focused on that problem. Like, okay, I need to go ahead and pay this bill. If I don't, this is what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. And then he put me on that movie. He said, he always tells me, man, don't worry about it. It'll happen. It'll all work out. That's just how he is in life. And like I said, I see how blessed he is and how he blesses others. And then I figure that paying attention to this movie, listening to motivation stuff, just keep my mind in the right place. Yeah, I'm going to have problems. We all have problems, but I can work through them if I don't focus on that negativity. And then start putting that stuff out there on LinkedIn. People start to follow, then it just kind of blew up.
I love that. And I love how you reference, you're not that you're a Debbie Downer, but we're human beings. We all have just days where you're kind of complaining and whining, especially in law enforcement. Sometimes you get around the water cooler in the squad room and maybe morale's not the best. Guys love to talk, but where did you learn to make that switch? Like, what was for you, I got to start being a little bit more positive, a little more accountable, and also trying to help people do that?
Well, like I said, it was about 4 or 5 years ago. I went to a interdiction class, and then he brought up this page called Street Cop Training. Didn't know anything about it, but then I met the owner of Street Cop Training, who was Dennis Benino, and I started watching his videos. Like, he had a whole bunch of content on Facebook, and then basically he was telling me, telling different people about like law enforcement, like even if they don't send you to training and different things like that, you have to take it upon yourself to pay for it, take your vacation days. If you want to become the best at what you do, you got to make sacrifices. And now I started taking it to heart, going to different training, paying for classes myself, taking time off, just trying to become the best officer that I can be. Like, I'm not gonna say I'm over competitive, but I have one of those things about me, like I want to be the best if I'm doing something. That's just how I am. That's how I see things. And I want other people to kind of have that mindset. I'm not saying you got to compete with everybody, but at the end of the day, in the back of my head, like, okay, well, you made a good drug, bust. You did this, you had a good rest. That's good. I appreciate that. Now I got to go do it myself. Like I said, just how I am. But yeah, his page and just his words of encouragement. Like I said, I spent many hours sending videos of my traffic stops and how I handled policing to him. And he always told me this. Like I said, he's from New Jersey. He said, for one, he had a southern drawl when we talk. He said, you talk really fast. He said, slow down. He also said, like I said 1,000 times, anytime I talk to a person, I can't help it. I just say it all the time. Like I said, it just comes out like that. But he helped me become better at my craft.
That's awesome. It's funny you talk about talking too fast. And that's just you say, like I said, I took this personal branding class last year, and basically the theme was your imperfections are what makes you likable. You're not trying to talk every sentence is perfect or eloquent. Just being you is what people are drawn to. So keep that up, man. That's great. You spoke to Ryan because I was watching Ryan nod his head when you said you got to be accountable for your own career and sacrifice. That is, we preach that all the time on the show. Did you grow up that way, having that accountable mindset of like, look, I can't expect everyone to hand me stuff? Is that something you learned as you kind of grew up?
Well, that's how it was my mother. She always told us, like I say, she was real big on education. Now she'll let us do our instruments, she'll let us play sports, but if you didn't get your education first, she wasn't gonna go for any of that. That's just how she was. And she said, you going around school acting up. I said, at the end of the day, the people around you are not going to get in trouble when you come home. It's going to be you. So you need to do what you need to do to put yourself above everybody else. And like I said, that's just one of the things she taught us. And like I said, my brother and sister, they're competitive. We always talk about who's smarter. I can kind of be honest. My brother's probably the smarter one of us all. Like I said, he went to a fine arts school, which Davidson Fine Arts, was like the #1 high school in the United States for a while. But he went there. And, I went to public school, so we always get into the argument. But my brother and sister pushed me too. Like say, we'll say a little different sentences, and he always correct me. Like I say, like, this is hard. He like, that can't be hard. it can be difficult, but it can't be hard. This table's hard. That's difficult. And he just correct stuff like that. And little things like that stuck with me. And he said, just make sure you learn to carry yourself the way you need to, so people will learn to respect you. And so just holding myself accountable as far as my family, and then as far as sports and everything else like that. And that's kind of how I got myself into where I'm at.
That's great. So you're in a leadership role now, right? You're in a sergeant.
Yes, sir. Well, like I said, the way it works at my agency is like all investigators, they're all sergeants. And like I said, we run a 5-man crew over there in my narcotics division, but we're all sergeants, then we have 1 lieutenant.
How important is leadership to you? Whether you're supervising people or not, how important is leadership and setting a good example, modeling good behavior? How important is that to you?
That's very important. Like I said, that's going to keep the morale of the people below up. Like I say, frontline supervisors is very important. That's what a lot of people don't understand. Like the corporals, sergeants, they keep the department together. Like I say, they're like in between the upper echelon, and then they're right there with the lower people of the totem pole. And so when things are going on, people confide in them. And like I say, having a good leader is not going to be up there just giving you bad news and just talking trash about everybody else, but picking you up, telling you to maintain that positive focus that things will get better is very important. Like I say, as a young officer, you come in there, things are changing all the time. You're not used to it. They make you work night shift and you work day shift. It becomes too much. And if you have somebody that can encourage you and lead you the right way, then you have a better chance of handling situations when they come to you. So that's why I believe a good leadership or a good leader is very important to the success of a department or any type of agency.
Yeah, so true. If you're in a squad room or patrol room or having lunch and there's a group of officers sitting around kind of talking trash or kind of contributing to that negative culture, what do you do? I mean, are you interjecting? Are you walking away? What are you normally doing to handle it?
It just depends on the situation. Like sometimes you gotta let them vent. Like say, they got to get off the chest. But if it just becomes too negative, you gotta let them know that, hey man, complaining's not gonna do anything about it. I'd say more than likely it's gonna make it worse for y'all. Like say, no one wants to be around complainers all the time. And like I said, we all do it. We all have those days where it's just like, man, forget this. I'm tired of this place, whatever. But you can't let it stay there. So you got to be able to talk to them. And like I said, sometimes you just got to walk away from the situation, then text them later on, like, hey man, I know you're having a hard time. Better days come. Like I said, we all been through this. We all had our law enforcement career where ups and downs occurred, but sooner or later, better days happen. So sometimes it's not always best to confront a person, definitely when they're in front of their friends, because they might take it the wrong way. Sometimes it's best to let them handle them or shoot them a text, like, hey, man, maybe you shouldn't be talking like that. Because sometimes you never know who you're around. You never know who's going to tell what. Like I said, that could cause a problem. And then also, you just want to be labeled that officer in your department that's always complaining about everything that comes along. Like I said, because you get that bad rap and no one wants to be around you.
And it's hard to come out of that, man. Once you get that reputation, it's hard to spin that.
Yeah.
What did your family say when you said you want to go into law enforcement? Were they supportive or any trepidation issues there?
Oh, no, my mother was supportive. Actually, my uncle, he worked for the local agency before I was even born, but he worked at the police department. And I told my mother about it. She was supportive. She actually brought me my uniforms and all my gear for it. She said, just make sure you stick through it with it. And I say, she picked me up and took me through the academy when I needed a ride. So she was very supportive. And then, like I say, my family always supported me of anything I did. They just said, make sure you do the best that you can. Don't be coming around, pouting about it if you don't succeed at it.
Eric, for the love of Christ, bro. Please, please, man. I'm sorry. Just for a little bit. One time.
Probably out of all the stuff you post, my favorite one is the whistling videos, because that just reminds me of me trying to get under my partner's skin when I was a cop and detective. Mm-hmm. How did that start? How did you start making those whistling videos?
Well, actually, like I said, I was in the car with my partner, and like I said, my grandfather was a big whistler. Like he'll listen to old school music, and he'll just whistle the whole song. Like Temptation, he'll whistle the whole song, and I just have that naturally about me. Like I hear music, I know, and I like I say from being in the band and stuff, I start whistling. And then I was whistling one time that I looked beside him, and he was just staring at me, steaming. I'm like, what is wrong with you? He's like, could you please stop that? I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, whistling. I'm like, there's nothing wrong with whistling. Everyone whistles. But it started upsetting him so much. Like he was sitting there just snarling at me and start throwing stuff. I'm like, man, calm down. Then one day I decided to put my phone up, record him while I was whistling. and I could see him. He was trying to be patient, and then he just said, "Look, he like, could you please stop?" And then he just went down here with that. I was like, man. And once you tell me something like that, man, I'm gonna keep egging on. I say until you get tired, you'll probably pick me up and throw me. But yeah, until then, man, I just keep whistling around him. It's a habit though. Like honestly, I don't even think about it until I see him mad, and then I just keep doing it.
Does he know he's a social media legend? Always the subject of your jokes.
I mean, he's actually on Instagram. I told him to get LinkedIn. I said, man, you probably have some followers, but they know how angry you get about whistling. And some people that relate to you that don't like whistling. I said, but nah, he doesn't have a LinkedIn.
That's awesome.
Eric, up here I don't know if they do it down in Georgia, but up here in the Boston area, the big way that you work overtime is by doing traffic details. You go out when they're doing road work and everything, and you flap your arms and you direct traffic around the construction, everything. Guys always out there. You drive down the road, you're going to see cops doing, they call them details.
Mm-hmm.
And when I would work a detail, I would be whistling until my mouth was dry. I'd be doing, be whistling solos and songs and everything. And you get the construction workers. My goal would be to get someone in a car going by to be able to say, "What is he whistling?" and get them to look and everything.
Oh yeah, yeah. So man, I just whistle out of nowhere, man. It just happens. Like my aunts and all of them, these all whistle, and like I said, they can whistle loudly. I never had that ability. Like some people that whistle with their fingers and have that loud whistle that resonates. I can't do that. So I just do what I can.
Yeah, I can never do that either. I like to call myself a melodic whistler.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed, and as you were talking and everything, and it was really impressive, is that you've not only been blessed with having a whole string of different mentors in different stages of your life, but I think we also have to credit you for, the mentor has to be there, but you have to be willing to listen. Because I have to imagine that along with those mentors, there were also a lot of noise in your life that could have brought you the other way. So what did you do? And how were you able to follow the guidance and listen to the mentors that made themselves available in your life versus kind of getting sucked to the negativity side?
Well, it is part mentally, but then like I say, you just got to hold yourself accountable. Like I said, I went to a school called Glenhurst High School, and like I say, you just had the opposite spectrum of both ends. Like either you're going to be part of the gangs, fight people and all that stuff, or either you're going to do sports. And then some of the people that were fighting in gangs, they did do sports, or you're going to be academic. So I just kind of found myself in the happy medium right there in the middle. Like I said, I could relate to the people in the gangs and stuff, but I didn't hang with them. And then I dealt with people with sports and academics. But kind of like I said, I kind of stayed to only a certain amount of people. And like I said, my coaches were always a big influence in my life. They always tried their best to keep us out of trouble. And the ones that they could, they were very successful at. But like I always tell people, you can't save everyone. So sometimes you're going to have to take personal responsibility for yourself to stay that way. And then like I said, with my cousin and them coming around with karate, like I said, that took up a lot of focus in my life. And like I said, I always had structure in my life, but that was a different type of structure. Like having someone in your face all the time, punching you and kicking you and telling you need to do this. I was like, man, it was different. And like I said, I never say I have an anger problem, but I was always been one of those people that like say, I'm gonna take for so much that we're gonna have to deal with it. And I learned not to do that with them because I tried to deal with it with them and they taught me easily, this ain't what you want. So
So, and I know you mentioned that for a little while when you went to public school, you kind of went astray and you were in the other school for a little bit, right?
Oh yeah, the alternative school, yes sir.
The alternative school. So I've always been one to say that I think the best police officers are the ones that did not live those straight arrow lives. I always attributed, I was lucky that I never got in trouble with the law, but I got in my fair share of trouble and I did plenty of things that I shouldn't have. And I always thought that helped me be able to relate to people when they got in trouble as a police officer. How do you feel about that? How do you think that experience helps you relate to people that you're dealing with on the street?
Well, it helps a lot because, like I say, you understand that people make mistakes. Like I say, we've all been there. We're all younger, especially like I said, when I was younger. Like I said, man, it's probably a tribute to why I lost a lot of football games. Why we lost football games, like we actually smoked weed before we played football. Like for the football game, it could be the reason why we lost some football games. But like I said, that's something that we did, and like I said, I did it for high school and like maybe like a couple of months into college. But then also, like I say, I had a partner whose father was actually a law enforcement officer, and we were best friends. And like I said, we weren't bullies, but like I said, we weren't gonna back down from anybody. And he was bigger than me. And man, we got in plenty of fights. I mean, plenty of them. Like I can remember one time we was downtown area. It was what we call First Friday. And I'm just sitting there minding my business. Somebody bunts me. I'm like, okay, man, I ain't worrying about it. My partner, who was my best friend, flies off the handle. He's like, you need to say, excuse me, don't bump into him, different type of words. You just can't say them one line. And next you know, it was just two of us. And it was only one of them. And we're walking down the street, we thought it was over with. About 10 people surround us. They're like, oh, since y'all was talking all the trash, come on. My partner takes off his shirt. He's like, well, y'all just gonna have to come on with it. I'm like, well, I'm not gonna leave him hanging. So we end up fighting. Like we're out in the brawl right there in the middle of the street. Someone says, police. We all get up, we walk away, walk to the back street. We thought it was over with. Still wasn't over with. More people come. They try to fight us. Then one of our partners just so happened to come. He had a gun on. And he said, hey, don't worry about them. He put us in the car. He said, y'all go do what y'all need to do. Y'all don't be out here with these people. Go home. That could have went the other way. I could have a criminal record right now because of that. But God's saving grace. And that's why I say it helps you out on the street to have that discernment and just knowing that, you know, officer discretion, knowing that everybody doesn't need to go to jail. Everybody doesn't need a ticket and all that stuff. And sometimes you can just relate to them. Just tell them, hey, man, I've been in these places before. I understand. We all have hard days. We all have hard times. Tell them that they don't need to do this again. And some people just going to be hard-headed. They're going to do it again. But some people just take that first lesson and be like, okay, well, maybe I need to stop what I'm doing. So we've all gone through things. And that's why I tell people, I say, if you have some type of experience not being on a straight narrow path, that you will probably be a good law enforcement officer because you can relate to people. You understand what's going on. You actually been in those areas. You know how it is growing up in these certain places that you can relate to these people and what they're going through.
And I think even, you know, to take it even a step further, I think there's such a value in that is now that when you're able to relate, you're building that relationship with the community that, all right, this is an officer I can trust. This isn't an officer like the media tells me that police are like or everything. This is a police officer I can go to. I can confide in him. He's like me.
Yeah, like my sheriff was always big on it when I was in the academy, and he is now. Building a rapport with with the community. He said, make sure you have that customer service personality about yourself when you deal with people, so people can confide in you. Like I say, most of the crimes that we solve is from help with the community. And like I say, if you had that type of relationship, and like I say, dealing even with the part of law enforcement I deal with as far as drugs, you got to have that type of relationship to deal with people. Because at the end of the day, they can set us up at any time when we're doing the things that we do. And like I say, you just got to be able to have that trust between that person and them. And like I tell people, you don't trust them to a certain extent, but still you got to be able to build that relationship and bond with people so they can confide in you when something's going on, or if someone just got shot and you don't have any clues, they pull you up to the side like, I didn't say this, he did. So you got to have that type of relationship with the community that you serve in.
Yeah. So now working in drug investigations, how is that difficult to cope with? I know so many things when I was a police officer. It was the never ending, like every time you fixed a problem, another one came up. Does it get frustrating when it seems like every time you get one dealer off the street, there's another one popping up that you got to chase, and there's always people overdosing? Does it ever feel like no matter what you do, you can't get ahead of it?
Well, you can kind of have that feeling, but like I say, I'm one of those people that believe, hey man, there's more work to be done. Because at the end of the day, the drug industry is a $1 billion industry. It's not going anywhere. But I feel that if I can stop one person from overdosing, I did my job, or one person from getting killed because of these drugs, I did my job. And yeah, like I say, it's going to happen. You take one person off the corner, somebody's going to be there the next minute to replace them. That's just how the game goes. But like I say, you got to have that drive, and you be like, okay, well, I got that person, I'm going to get this person. Like I say, and the work continues. So you just got to have that type of personal drive about yourself being in drugs. Like I say, man, it's a never ending game. Like I say, you think you're stop the biggest person or the biggest drug dealer in your area, they're getting their drugs from somebody else. So it's always someone bigger and better to get as far as narcotics and drugs.
What's the big drug down in Georgia right now? I guess you got to say right now. I'm sure it changes.
Meth and fentanyl is coming up. Meth is really big. Like I say, most people we deal with are going to have some type of meth on the line. Say, man, like I say, I've always been big in the interdiction work, and I read like there's a snow and all these different places where they popping people in like Arizona and Texas with like 300 pounds of methamphetamine on traffic stops and all that stuff. But meth is really big in that area. And then people are starting to mix fentanyl with everything. So That's one of the issues we start to deal with.
Yeah, that fentanyl. We when I was finishing up my career, that was the big problem up in this area, was that getting mixed with heroin, and didn't take much of that. And so it seems to me too that one way that you definitely, get, I don't know if get through, but you always seem to make the most of it, and you seem to have a fun time with what you're doing. How important is that to someone's career?
Oh yeah, man, you gotta laugh, man. That's one of the best parts of being a law enforcement, is laughing you have with your friends. Like, most people might see a dead body or something like that, and then, officers are gonna be to the side, talk about what they want for lunch, talk about what we're gonna do when we get off. Like I say, you gotta maintain that positive mindset and laugh. Like I say, we see some crazy stuff, and if you focus on that, you might spiral out of control. And like I say, I work with some funny characters. And like I say, all we do is talk trash to each other. And that's basically what most of the shift consists of, is talking trash to each other or try to wrestle with each other. So laughing is a big part of it. And that's why I tell people, I say, I believe in laughter. That's why I try to make people laugh as much as I can. Like I said, even for that brief minute, you're going to forget about the problems that you had going on. So telling jokes, and like I said, that's just how we know each other. Like, we'll come into work and you could tell when one of us is not in the right mind or something like that, because we'll be up to frown and all that. And if somebody's going to say something crazy, then you're going to start laughing. And like I say, man, it kind of takes that air out your chest, makes your shoulders go down so you can relax a little bit. And that's why I'm a big believer in laughing, telling jokes, just having a good time.
Yeah. So we honestly, one of my partners and I, we would do the, like in Super Troopers, we'd see if we could get someone to realize when we were doing the meow.
Yeah.
And we get people doing that. Some people would notice, and some people would. They just completely stop and they bit. What did you just say?
Yeah. And then, they do some crazy stuff, man.
And you talked about laughing, man. So one time my partner and I, we had to go serve this warrant. We were like, oh my God, I don't want to go have to deal with this guy and everything. So we're like, let's do something crazy. So we go in and we're going to arrest this guy. And we pretended to almost get in a fight with one another while we were arresting this guy. We're like yelling at each other and calling each other names and telling us that we're going to beat each other up and everything. This guy, he's looking at us like, what? But I tell you what, he let us put the handcuffs on him and walk him right out to the car. He didn't.
Oh yeah, man. I said, man, I've had the luxury to work with some good partners, and like I say, man, when I first started in law enforcement, they put me in a division called housing. And so me and my partner Chris, we were working in a street called Railroad Avenue. So we were just seeing this one guy here, knew he had warrants. So we get out, talk to the guy. We put the guy hands on him, and like say, it took maybe 2 seconds. Me and him was talking to each other. And I just happened to look off. We didn't see the guy no more. Like, I don't know where he went to. I don't know how fast he got there, but we didn't see the guy no more. And we sitting there looking at each other like we just went out with this on the radio. And we told him we had the subject, detained. And lo and behold,
he's gone.
It was no guy, man. I said, man, I've had some calls like that, man, where crazy stuff happened. Like just recently I was talking to a guy, man, and got him out the car, I smelled marijuana, got the marijuana out the car. So I'm searching the car, like doing what I do. It's kind of my fault because I didn't put him in handcuffs. So he was leaning against the back of my car. And so I pulled the marijuana out the car and I turned back around. Look, didn't see the guy anymore. I'm like, and so I had to call out on the radio. I'm like, I got one running, but I don't even know where he's running to. And they're like,
I know he's not here.
Yeah. The only good thing about it, he left his license and his ID in the car. So kind of his fault, but it's kind of my fault too. I was like, man, that's rough right there. But yeah, man, that's why I tell people that's the best part of law enforcement. Like I said, after the calls, the laughs that you have with people, when people talking trash, man, that's just one of the best parts of it.
Yeah. So
actually, if I may interject with a story, right? Because since this is funny, I think so. My father ended the ride along program at my police department. Before we let family members ride along, but now we don't do that anymore because in 2011, it was right before I got promoted to detective and I'm on patrol. It was night shift and my dad's doing a ride along. My dad comes up with a ride along with a king loaf of white bread, a pound of turkey and a pound of American cheese. And I'm driving in my patrol car. He's sitting in the shotgun and he looks at me. He goes, "Son, you want a sandwich?" And I'm like, "Yeah, Dad, I'll have a sandwich." So here I am driving my police car, eating a big old ham and cheese sandwich. Then at maybe 3 a.m., and of course, the golden rule for ride-alongs is don't get out of the car. I don't know. Did you guys do ride-alongs at your police department?
Yeah, we do. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So the golden rule is don't get out of the car. Like just whatever happens, happen. So it's like 3 a.m. We get a tone, like an emergency tone. Beep, 53 units, fight in progress, Wedgwood Park. So we zooming over there. That was my zone. So I was there first. And we get there and they're on the basketball court in this dark park in a very kind of low income area, no lights at all. We see juvenile laying on the ground motionless, or a young person. And we see another one get up and run. Now, we didn't know anything, right? Like, we respond to calls. You don't know what's going on. But I thought it was assault in progress. This guy's unconscious. That guy assaulted him and left. So I get out of my car and yell, foot chase, 5335 foot chase, So I'm running after the guy. Nobody else is there yet. I hear him on the radio. They're coming. All of a sudden, I have my mag light out, and because it's pitch black, and I have my flashlight. I'm looking for the guy, and he starts to scale a big fence. All of a sudden, I see another mag light. There's the light booming around, and I know nobody else is on scene yet, and I'm running. And I look behind, it's my dad. He's like, "I'm right behind you, son. I'm right behind you." And I'm like, "Dad, get back in the car. Get back in the car." He's like, "Oh, I'm not leaving my partner. I'm not your partner. You're a ride along. Get in the car." So this guy's scaling the fence. I'm trying to rip him down. My dad's behind me. It was a mess. So everybody leaves. We arrest the guy, and the sergeant comes up to me. Very nice guy, Dean. And Sergeant Dean looks at me and he goes, "Meet me back at the station."
Yep, you already know what that means.
Yep. And I was like, "Thanks, Dad. Thanks." And that was it. That was the last family member 11 years ago to ride in a police car, my agency.
Oh, no, Chad, I had heard some of that story, but not all of it. And I'm freaking wiping the tears away.
Yeah. My dad's, he's a knucklehead, man. He's just, somehow he thought it was okay to grab the spare mag light in the car and run with me. He didn't even think about it. Like, he was right on my tail. I was like, you're like in your 50s or 60s. Unbelievable.
So to all of our police officers listening right now, I think, the last couple minutes, I mean, I'm laughing. I think this stresses the importance of what Eric mentioned, and that's have fun on the job. Don't forget that you came on the job to have fun. The serious moments, there's going to be stressful moments, but keep having fun. Keep the positivity. Keep your mindset right. That is so key, because in my career, I allowed my mindset to go to the shit, which eventually ended my career, and building my mindset is what led me out. And I think I've said on the show before, I can only imagine what my career would be like now if I had the mindset I had now when I was still in the career, when I was still on the job. So, yeah. Eric, one big question I got for you, maybe you could share some advice with our listeners, is, I'm sure there's people that they're sitting here and they're saying, "Oh yeah, that was great. Eric had all these great mentors growing up. He had all these mentors as a police officer. I'm stuck here with nothing. I don't have a mentor." What would your advice be to an officer who feels like he doesn't have a mentor on the job? He doesn't know what to do. He doesn't have someone he can look up to, or that he feels wants to help him.
Well, to reach out to people, like I said, social media is so big right now, man. And a lot of these people that, are big in law enforcement, or can be good mentors or FTOs and all that stuff, don't have to be there physically to train you. And like I said, that was how Dennis Benino was for me, and a guy named Tom Rizzo and Jeffrey Smith. And basically, like, street cop training, that's what they had those people there for, like instructors. They're accessible to you. You can reach out to them and talk to them. Like I say, everybody doesn't have big budgets, but they can have the best officers come in to train you and stuff like that. But that's the power of the internet, and you can always reach out to somebody. And I've had people reach out to me on LinkedIn and just ask for advice, and I try my best to help them the best I can. Like I tell them, I mean, some situations I can't, some situations I haven't been in, but if I can't, I'm gonna try to find you somebody that can give you the answer that you need. So you might can't find it at the agency. Sometimes you might gotta go to the agency right next to you, or down the road, do a couple of ride-alongs with them. Sometimes you have to seek out the help that you need. Like I say, you can't just expect for it to be right there in your face. And that's what a lot of people get frustrated with. They think it's supposed to come to them. Sometimes you got to go to it. So that's one of the things you got to do.
Yeah, and that was a huge thing, in my, I'll say in my department, is so many people, and I got sucked into that. You complain, "Oh, well, they don't offer us a training. They don't do this. They want to provide this. There's no training. They don't want to send us anywhere." And you said it at the beginning, is we got to take it upon ourselves to go out and seek the personal and the professional development that we want, that we desire for our career. And like you mentioned, today's day and age, with the internet and social media, everything you can imagine is at your fingertips on the computer, on your phone while you're sitting there in the car. whether it's getting on LinkedIn or social media platform and connecting with people, whether it's going on YouTube and watching police training videos. I mean, it's everywhere. So, and we'll make sure that we put the link to this resource in the show notes for people. I think you mentioned street cop training.
Yes, at streetcoptraining.com. Dennis Benino is the co-founder and instructor of it. And like I said, his work has trained me. As a matter of fact, he's from New Jersey. He's up there, and his company's in New Jersey. I can't think of the area he's from, but he has instructors all around the country. And basically, he's bringing people on with his company, fluent in case law. Tom Rizzo gives a class over being in a leadership role and being positive. Then you have Jeffrey Smith, who's from Maryland, who does like narcotics classes. And you got people that do social media investigations, people that do mental health. Like he has law enforcement instructors that specialize in these different things, and he has all for his company. So I believe that every officer I know should at least seek out that type of training, at least talk to them or talk to somebody from there, because you're going to find something positive that'll help your career.
That's awesome. And thanks for letting us know about that training, be able to put that out to our listeners. Awesome. We love providing people with the resources and everything too. So what's coming up? What's the future look like for Sergeant Eric McCants? What are you excited about?
Well, instructing, like I say, I just got my instructor certification last year in December to teach other law enforcement officers. And like I said, that's always been one big thing I always, like doing or enjoying doing was teaching people. Like I said, I taught karate for a long time. I've always, liked to mentor people and all that. And I feel like I connect with people as far as teaching them. And like I said, I've had some great instructors. And like I said, we all had them bad instructors too. And that's what you don't want to be. Like I said, you remember those people, you go to a case law class or constitutional law class, and you've been there trying to hold your head up because they're so boring and so monotonous. And like I say, you want to have somebody that has energy, but they can deliver the information and know what they're doing. So that's one big thing that I'm looking forward to. And then, like I said, I'm still in the process of either trying to go state or federal to become a special agent. Like I say, now, federal fitness standards are a little bit different. I'm a bigger fellow. So running a mile and a half in like 12 minutes and 30 seconds, it's a little push. Like I say, that's a lot of man to be moving that fast. So it's a work in progress. But like I say, things like FBI, DEA, Homeland Security, and all that stuff, something I wouldn't mind doing. Like I say, I always enjoy doing long, big cases, something that takes a lot of time, a lot of manpower, but the end result is going to make it all worth it. So I enjoy doing things like that. So becoming an instructor, I wouldn't mind becoming an adjunct instructor, but a lot of things are going on online. And like I said, I got my whole degree off online training from University of Phoenix. I don't mind that, but I feel like I'll be better served teaching people face to face. I feel like I have to make a better connection with people, talking to them, being hands-on with them. So becoming an adjunct instructor, we'll just see. And then, like I say, becoming a special agent one day.
Oh, that's awesome. You're not a PowerPoint guy like just like me. I mean, you show me a PowerPoint and I have no interest. Like I like people who are engaging, conversational and engaging and everything. Reading off a PowerPoint, that is not for me.
Oh no, I like to say, man, and that's what I tell people. I say, I don't have narcolepsy or whatever that is, but I'll fall asleep on you quick. Like I said, I'll be sitting there and I'll just be nodding, and I don't even think about it in my head. And then they're probably gonna put me out of the classroom. So you don't want to become that type of instructor. And like I said, with Dennis Benino, he was one who always told me, he said, man, make your PowerPoints if you're gonna do it, make it fun. Have your instructional material in there, but also put a little funny video in there, put videos in there that will engage people to have them watching, and you go back to your material and just keep doing that back and forth. But a lot of instructors just have a plain PowerPoint, just go straight through the PowerPoint and all that, and they have that monotonous voice, and you be like, man, when's the next bathroom break? And that's not the type of instructor I want to be.
That's awesome. So the thing, can I expect to see more Eric McCants running videos than weightlifting videos now?
Technically, like I said, I don't. I'm not gonna report myself running because I don't want.
Not when it's 100 degrees out, right?
Yeah, like I said, I sound like a train runner. Like I be breathing hard, trying to catch my breath and all that stuff. Like I said, I technically run every day. I try to do at least a mile outside running. Now it's not no fast mile. Now you might get 10 minutes, 11 minutes out of me.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm not. Once I get going, I can go for a long time, but I am not fast.
Oh no, and like I said, now running, I get you for a good 100 yards, but if I'm going full tilt at the 100 yards, that train coming to an end. Like I say, it's gonna break real quick. So I say it's just a hard catch-22. And like I say, for SWAT, we had to run a mile in 9 minutes. And like I say, I started off when I first worked at my sheriff's department. I was about 315, so I got down to about 260. And people on the SWAT team, they was on SWAT before. They talk about the trash. You the SWAT, you're not, and all that. All like I tell them, I'm a big guy. Like I say, running hurts my back. So I had to lose weight to get that mile down. And you know, a couple biscuits later, I got my weight back up. I'm at 315, but I'm back like at 285. So you know, I like to eat. So it's just one of those things. And I tried, you know, keto diet, which is good. But like I say, the people I'm around, my partners, they like to eat. So they're like, hey man, just eat this biscuit, macaroni and cheese, and all that stuff. And, you know, I'm down south, so there's nothing really healthy around. So
we got to get you a Scott Medlin eating plan then, don't we?
Something, man. But you know, I can't do leftovers though. Like people like meal prep, I can't. I'm just one of those people like I got to have my food prepared hot, like right there for me. Because if not, I'm not gonna want it. Like I said, if I got to warm my food up, it does something to me, and I just can't eat it. So I don't know.
So Eric, before we wrap things up, man, what would your number one book recommendation be? What's your favorite book?
I got a few. I can't think of it. It's The Power Positive Thinking. I can't think of the name of it. Matter of fact, I have it right here. The Power. Oh, that's my old car. They should retire that car.
Cool.
S7. That's my Crown Suppression car.
I like that.
I did numbers in that car. The guys on my team might not admit it, but that car put some dope on the table right there. But this is a book that he put me on, The Secret and all that, The Power of Positive Thinking. And like I said, my sheriff wrote a couple of books too. And basically, he wrote a book about his whole life and then about the ups and downs of law enforcement and about one of his murder trials. That's another good book. His name is Sponser Webb. He has a book on Amazon. And then Tom Rizzo wrote a book called Cop Casey. I can't remember. I have it, but I can't say it right. But basically, it's about, you know, different aspects of law enforcement and just keeping your mindset right. And The Secret, like I said, that's going to probably be the best book I tell anybody to read. Secret. It's not everybody's cup of tea. Because some people think, you know, you're trying to think about the higher power and all that stuff. I say it's not really even that much. It's all about the law of attraction. Focus on positive things and not the negative things. So those would be my recommendations.
Very good.
And for the people that don't like to read, The Secret is a movie too.
Yes.
I've seen the movie probably
10 times. Yeah, I've seen like 10 times.
And you know, one thing about the law of attraction is, you know, the first time I heard about it, learned about it, and I read the book, The Law of Attraction, everything, I was like, oh, you know, it's interesting. And then all of a sudden, I started seeing things in my life that were the law of attraction in action. I was like, holy smokes. Holy cow, that is, like, when you see, I mean, I look back to, you know, I'm a car guy. I love old cars. And when I was about 12, 13 years old, I had this vision of the car that I was going to drive when I was able to drive. And now it's not the exact car that was my vision, but it's pretty much the car that I envisioned was a Chevelle SS. And I have the same year Chevelle SS, I have it in, of the one that I envisioned, I have it in an Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme, which is pretty much the Oldsmobile version of the Chevelle. And I all of a sudden I realized that one day, and I'm like, dude, that was the car that you imagined when you were like 12, 13 years old, and that car is pretty much in your garage right now.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and I'd had that car for a while before I even realized that, dude, you manifested that car.
I try to tell people all the time, man, I say, if you work on the way you think, a lot of things will go a lot better. And I like to say, for one, like I say, once you stop thinking about it, you're going to find solutions to get past it anyway. And that's why I tell people, I say, man, if you keep thinking about those problems, and like I say, debt is one of the things that a lot of people worry about. You keep worrying about the bills coming along, how you're going to pay for stuff, it's going to stay there. I say, you forget about all that and worry about, you know, everything being paid off, or you being financially stable and have enough money, and money comes to you. So I'm not going to say I'm a millionaire. I'm not going to say, you know, I have all this money flowing to me, but I'm comfortable. I say I don't have any complaints. So just one of those ways to look at it.
Yep. When you have the abundance mindset, then you're not worrying anymore.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right, Eric, this has been a great conversation, man. I've loved having you on the show. This has been an awesome talk, and we've definitely had some laughs in here too. I think this might be the hardest I laughed on one of the shows so far.
Definitely the most jokes. Definitely.
I think we're going. Chad's got his questions ready for you, rapid fire. So we'll end with a little bit of fun.
All right, okay. Eric. This is 5 questions. This is a rapid fire game. For you, I've added an extra bonus question because these are fun, and I just had a feeling it was going to be fun. And by the way, the bonus question I added, you already touched on it earlier in this interview. It's like I'm a genius, but I'm not. All right. 5 questions. Are you ready to go, Eric McCants?
Yes.
All right. And you kind of said this earlier, but whistling. What is the worst reaction you've gotten from somebody, either partner or anybody, from your whistling?
Getting a book thrown at me, and partner threw a book at me, and it actually hit me. Hit me right upside my head. It was hard too.
Oh man.
Almost in tears. I was like, man, that's okay.
Dude, don't you love the South, Rye? I just feel like they just like there's no cute and cuddly. It's like direct.
Oh.
It's honest. It's firm. I love that.
You know, well, this is another little ironic. I don't mean to interrupt you, Chad. This is the second show in a row where we've been talking about people getting stuff thrown at them.
It is. Yeah. You're right.
We've kind of upped the ante. We've gone from goldfish to books.
Yeah, you're right. All right. What would Eric McCants be doing if he were not in law enforcement?
Whew. Man, honestly, now I don't know. I don't know. Maybe stand-up comedian. No, I'll probably be teaching somewhere, probably like a math teacher in high school, something like that.
Ooh, I like that. All right. Worst haircut you've ever had?
My mother used to cut my hair, and she used to do that bowl cut. And then one day she decided to put a part of my head. You know, parts supposed to be thin. Like she made a part like half an inch long in my head, and she made me go to school with it. And then I decided upon myself to try to take a razor and cut my hair myself. And I was like maybe 7 or 8, and I had patches in my hair. And I tried to wear a hat to school. She made me take it off, and that was my worst haircut.
Oh, all right. That's awesome. All right. One fashion item you wish would come back.
Man, I'm not really big on fashion. Let me see. You know, windbreaker suits. I was really big. My grandpa had those. We were really big in those. But like I said, as a bigger guy, I made a lot of noise coming down the road. So, all that shh. You don't want all that going down the road.
I used to have a red Adidas tracksuit, man. I was like late 80s, early 90s. Awesome. Wow. All right, Saturday night, Eric McCants is off. No plan, no schedule. What are you doing?
Sitting on the couch, I'm either probably playing Call of Duty or fighting with my boys. Okay, that's I got 4 boys, and that's basically all they do. Fight and break stuff.
4 boys. What are their ages? What are their ranges?
18, 10, well, 18, 11, 7, and 5.
Wow, man. Woo! I feel like we should have talked more about that. That's a full-time job.
It is.
All right, the first time ever in 5 questions, we're doing a bonus question with Eric McCants, and it's almost like this was scripted. If you were a professional wrestler, what would your entrance music be?
Man.
You're facing The Rock or Stone Cold for that championship?
Man.
What gets you hyped? Come on.
What gets me hyped? Probably like Lil Jon Let's Go, something like that.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, gotta have something to base. But I like the rock theme music. Like even some of my work I do, like the rock theme music in there. And NWO, man, I was a big fan of NWO. So man, it was just.
You'd be the 4th member with Hulk and Scott Hall and Kevin Nash coming down.
Oh yeah, man.
They step aside and here they call point to Eric McCants. You come running down.
I think my name should be Big Sexy though, but you know, they already took it from me. But, yeah.
Didn't they? They had a Big Sexy.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, Kevin Nash. That was Kevin Nash, man. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. I was thinking, who was the wrestler with? Remember the guy who did the Worm and his partner?
D'Lo Brown.
No, that was the 3D. Right, the Dudley Boys. There was the
Brown.
guys, Too Cool. Remember the one guy, Scotty Too Hot, he did the Worm?
Oh, yeah.
And
Okay.
then his partner, I thought, was Big Sexy.
Well, I remember they used to call Kevin Nash Big Sexy. I remember Big Papa Pump, too. I wanted to be like him at one time. But,
Good, man. Well, Eric McCants, you did 6 questions today. Good job, brother.
Yay! Eric, we can't thank you enough for taking the time to come on the show. That was a lot of fun learning more about you. And I mean, I love the stuff of the, number one, the importance of having those mentors that you can follow and, listen to. When those mentors arrive, you have to be ready to listen to them and take their guidance. That was huge. And just making sure that you're having fun on the job, having fun, keep those laughs, have a good time, remember why you're there. It's a tough job. Make sure you're keeping that smile on your face. So, Eric, I know we mentioned we can find you on LinkedIn. Do you do any other social media platforms that our listeners can find you?
Facebook, but I'm not on there too often. But like I said, I do Facebook, but like LinkedIn is the only one I really have at the time.
All right, awesome. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're on LinkedIn, connect with Eric. I love your funnies. I laugh at all the funnies. I laugh and relate to them. There's a lot of them where it's like, ooh, yeah, I've done that. I've
The
been
one you
there.
posted last night, man, and the fact that he has to even say it's a joke, people, it's a joke. But man,
Oh,
man.
people, man, they're about to come off this. I say it's just a joke. But you got to be honest with yourself. If you had to take a bullet for your girlfriend or something like that, would you? I'm like, if somebody came up to you like, you gonna take the bullet for your girlfriend? You're like,
Like you said, it's funny, man. He's gonna laugh.
yeah, man. But you know, everybody takes things seriously. So that's just how it
Is your sheriff? Is he Alonzo Williams?
Yeah, Alfonso. Yes, sir.
Okay. If there's a leader watching this, just do the job like Sheriff Williams. I don't know him. He's in Georgia. I'm in Philadelphia. But just because Eric posts about him and talks about him, I now know who Sheriff Alonzo Williams is off the top of my head as being a good leader because of what Eric said. So leaders everywhere, do a good job and people will sing your praises and talk about you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening. If you like the show, leave a review, hit the like button, share it with a friend, share it out on social media. Let's get the word out of the people that we're trying to introduce to the community and the good we're trying to bring. Eric, thanks for coming on the show, man.
Thanks, Big
Appreciate
Sexy.
it.
See you all next time.
Brother.
That was good.
Thank you, man.